Aditi, you will have to reconnect again. Yeah. Okay. So, critical essays, the structure of Jude the Obscure. Now, as we are well aware about Thomas Hardy, about Jude the Obscure novel, about important characters, about themes in this novel, and also a part of critical appreciation also we have done in 2 lectures by our visiting faculty also. Okay? Now, the structure of this novel. The structure of the novel might be described as the reversals of belief in Jude and Sue. So how is this structure being seen here? So what is happening in the story, and how, or what is the trajectory of the story? In which direction is the story moving on? In which direction the plot is going? By that way, we try to see the structure of this novel. Remember, we have seen in the poem Absalom and Achitophel also what is the structure. So initially they speak about the people, then the king, David, then his wife, then his illegitimate son, this, and then they say that then what is this time? This time is like this. People, Jews are there, Jebusites are there, and then there are some people who are not satisfied, and one of them is Achitophel, who is unsatisfied, and then he is enraging Absalom. Then there is temptation scene between both of them. Achitophel is tempting Absalom, and then people are listening to Absalom, and they want to agitate against the king, making Absalom their leader, and then king comes at the end. And then he says that, well, I am so good with you, and yet you are doing that. This is the will of the God. We are chosen, and all those things. And the people's mind is changed, and the poem comes to an end. That is the structure of Absalom and Achitophel. Yeah? The same way here in the novel. Novel is a very long narrative where so many things happen. And as we have seen that this novel is very complex, and it's many people have criticized also that it seems like Thomas Hardy was not perhaps very well aware that exactly what he wants to do, the way he is more clear in the previous novels. Perhaps here is confused. Many people have said that in the preface he himself has written that he is trying to mingle up so many things inside, and because of that also somewhere the structure of the novel is lost, or the character's behavior, the complexity is not understood. That why this character behaves suddenly in this way, then again in this way, then again in that way, why they keep on drifting again and again in a similar thing, or repeatedly making the mistakes in human relations. That is so. So in this context, when we see what is the structure, then we say that the structure is like Jude and Sue. If we take these two important characters, then what happens to them, what they were initially, and at the end of the novel, what happens. And there is a kind of, we can say, a complete change, reversal in their attitude towards life, and a complete reversal into what they were thinking earlier. So it might be described as the reversals of belief in Jude and Sue, and their changing marital relationships as they both go down to defeat. As it keeps on changing, they get on drifted, and that is how we can consider the flow or structure of the novel. In the beginning, Sue's view of things is secular and rationalist. Yeah? In the beginning, Sue Brighthead was secular and rationalist. Expressed, for example, in her sympathy with ancient rather than medieval culture, her scorn for conventional religious belief, her buying of pagan statuary, her reading of Gibbon. This all are the examples can be given that how Sue Brighthead is secular and rationalist. Okay? Jude's belief are at first conventionally Christian. Jude is conventionally Christian. As his desire to be ordained, his reading of standard authors, and his love of medieval culture, and architecture shows, and also his sympathy for earthworm, sympathy for birds. That is love, the compassion of Christianity, love and compassion of karuna. Karuna is the trademark of Christianity. That's why when Jesus Christ was being crucified, still he says that forgive these people. They don't know what they are doing. So he requests to his father that pardon them because they don't know what they are doing. That karuna, that is the trademark. Love, compassion is very much Christian in its basic element. Well, that is what Jude represents. So they were opposite, completely opposite. By the end of the novel, Sue has reverted to conventional beliefs as evidenced by her concern for the sanctity of marriage and her desire to perform penances for her sins. So when it goes back to the marriage as something that is being bestowed by heaven, marriage and the heaven connection, or penance, penance, prayaschit, karvu, prayaschit, praschatap. It is a religious concept. Penance and considers about his actions as sins. પોતાને પાપી ગણવા માંડે છે. Sins. That is how Sue, we can say, becomes religious. On the other hand, Jude no longer professes his old beliefs and finds himself, as he says in his speech to the street crowd in Christ Minister, a chaos of principles. He is more chaotic at the end. So his stability of mind, that is the religious, conventional Christian stability of the mind, has become chaotic. He has drifted in the other direction. This change in belief is closely paralleled by their marital relationships. At first, they are separated by marriage to other people as they are apart in belief. As Jude's ideas change, they are legally freed by divorce and they come to live together and to be married, in fact, if not in name. They live together but not married. When Sue returns to conventional Christian beliefs, they separate again and remarry their first spouses. So the way they are apart earlier, they marry other people. So that was showing their Jude, Sue and Jude. So Sue is drifted away. If we say here two examples in this line, then is going towards Arabella and is going towards Phillotson. Initially, yes. And then they both come together again to start live together. This phase, this structure. And then again, they are drifted. Then again, Jude goes back to Arabella and he to Phillotson. So that is how they are. These are two important centers. There is a gap between them. They are wide apart. That is their ideology. That is, one is secular and that. So there is lots of difference in them. A time changes, they come near. It shows that, well, there is change. There's something is changing. So they are drifted near. And then you can rather say that if they are completely in opposite direction. From here, they are drifted in completely opposite direction. Again, going back to their partner, but now in a different, with a different mindset here. Jude's death as a failure in Christminster and Sue's forcing herself to go to Phillotson's bed are striking signs of their defeat in life. This defeat is mirrored as well in Phillotson, who at Marygreen has fallen to the bottom professionally and who stiffly requires Sue to swear loyalty to him on a New Testament, and to a lesser extent in Arabella, who, though she loses Jude, does not lose her vitality. Other two characters also, that is Arabella and Phillotson, also find a kind of a defeat in this, but not to the extent of Jude and these two characters there. Finally, in these changes and defeat, in these changes and this defeat, in these changes and the defeat, Hardy has embodied the theme of his novel. Jude and Sue have been caught up in the modern spirit, have been caught up in What is this sign of the theme? The modern spirit. They are caught up by the modern spirit, have struggled to break free of the old ways, and have suffered and failed. It is this that justifies Hardy's description of the novel in the preface, where he says it is tragedy of unfulfilled aims. Yes. So that becomes, we can say thematically, we can read this also, that justify Jude the Obscure as a tragedy. And tragedy of what? Macbeth was tragedy of ambition. And this is the tragedy of unfulfilled aims. And how it happens with, in a way, all the four major characters, but by and large with Jude and Susan here. So, this is how we can see the structure, and how the structure of the narrative is connected with the life of the characters, or presented through the happenings in the life of the characters, and that leads to the thematic conclusion, that this is the major or central theme that we can see in Jude the Obscure. Yeah. Any questions here? Any doubt? Anything you would like to add in understanding of the structure of the novel, which leads to the idea about the major theme, and that is tragedy of unfulfilled aims. And I think now, if there is a question that justify how this novel is a tragedy of unfulfilled aims, then that also you will be able to write. If there is a question about the structure of the novel, that also you can show this. You can draw some kind of infographic also when you write your answer. As today I have sent a message about infographics. If you can use some kind of graphical structures, if you are putting here in the infographic Jude at the top, then when it comes down here, you have to put Jude down here and Sue here. So that should be reversal of position here. Okay? This reversal of position also becomes necessary to show the structure. So Jude has to go down here, Sue has to go up, or in whatever way you want to see, Sue up to down, or Jude in whatever way you want to see. That way you can draw a structure of this also, and thematically you can see this. This idea, I would like to ask you, what is this modern spirit that comes here? What is this idea? They are caught up, both the characters, they fail. Why? Because they are caught up by modern spirit. What is this, the idea of modern spirit, that if anybody can tell me? We have discussed this earlier also. Okay? So if anybody can get or remember that. Yes, anybody getting any point or? During the study of themes, we referred to this. Matthew Arnold's reference was given. Matthew Arnold's reference and his comment on coming of the modern spirit. Yes.
You have tried to become modern. They tried to live without marriage. But when little father can kill both other children and himself also committed suicide, then their views or thoughts of seeing the world changed, and so their ideas also changed, and they failed. So they were not worried about society, but when in their own life problems came, then they thought that no, this is not proper.
Okay, okay, but yeah, but still, I want to know this idea that how is this? What is this idea of modern spirit that it tries to say? What is this? This is like a tragedy of modern spirit or a failure because of modern spirit. That how do you understand this word? That I want to know. If you can get that point.
Tragedy of modern spirit.
Yes.
Tragedy of modern spirit.
Yes. In that way, it is. Yeah, tragedy of modern spirit. Yeah. But what is that? What do you mean by modern spirit?
To be able to live without marriage.
Okay, yes. So you are not conventional. You are not conventional. So Matthew Arnold, he observed that that something is happening wrong with society. Something is going wrong with society, and so more and more people are moving towards modernity. But this modern spirit is a kind of an evil modern spirit. It is seen as an evil modern spirit, which will lead towards a chaotic life, which will lead towards a chaotic life. It will not lead towards happiness in life. That is how that modern spirit was seen. So that progression was observed by many as, or that evolution, that evolution. Why we remember evolution? Because he was also Darwinist, Charles Darwin, and he was influenced. So like societies always keep on changing. But when people started having an idea that now societies have stabilized, this is the best form of life, all is well here, and God is in the heaven, everything is settled well according to God's design. There is no need to worry. Now everything is settled well. Now, then, if somebody starts changing and some said, no, I'm not happy with this, I want to live in this way, or I want to do that, then some observers came and said that this is an evil spirit. This modern spirit is evil. It is going to harm not only the individual, but the society also. And from here, we will go downhill. Those were the observations. So Hardy was also under the influence of that. So on one side, people like J.S. Mill, they are writing about on liberty, on freedom to women. But at the same time, there are so many other people who said that, well, this is not the right direction. You can't give this way the freedom to women. You can't make people so free. Cultural controls are necessary. So that way other people were looking, and they said that this modernity that people are moving towards is going to be very dangerous. Now, under that influence, Hardy's structure is leading towards tragedy. So Hardy also has that fear that maybe this may happen. You want to be evolutionist, you want to be modernist, so you are bringing that ideas, but at the same time, you also are thinking that maybe the alarms that are given, or we are warned against this kind of change or modernity that can lead into tragedy. And so in his work, there is a tragic end. By walking on that path, people are not happy. People are not happy. They all are unhappy in that path. So that is what, in case Hardy had a confidence that walking on the path of modernity, there is a different kind of happiness, then he would have made all the characters happy. He would have made all, but it is not possible because Hardy also belongs to a time. He also is conditioned and colored by the time. And so he can't go beyond his time. All writers are a little bit progressive. Writers are a little bit progressive, but then their progression also is controlled by the time in which they are growing. And that is where the Victorian time controls Hardy, and he can't make his characters happy at the end. So they are chaotic characters. They are unhappy. They are dissatisfied. Jude is completely changing. Sue also is completely changing. And that is the effect of this evil modern spirit. Evil modern spirit in that sense. But why we have to discuss this and remember that, well, if you have a modern spirit within yourself, it is not necessary that you also will meet the tragic end like Jude and Sue only. It is not necessary that. If there is a death that is going to happen, well, it is inevitable for everybody, earlier or later. Death, now people don't see death as a tragic end. In those days, people were seeing death as a sin of everything. Death is a sin. Death is the sin of all our karma. That is all people say. But then people realize that, well, those who do not do karma, or those who do only good karma, they also die. Everybody is dying. Now, then you don't believe in that idea, that death is so we have progressed from Victorian after 100 years. We see the modern spirit in a much different way. We don't use evil spirit. Or today's writer perhaps will not write that way the story. They will still make their characters more freer in their context also. Okay, so that is the structure, the idea about how we can study the structure here. Okay. Any other questions or observations by anybody here? I hope the point is understood very clearly to everybody. Okay. Okay, so